Hello and a really warm welcome to this yoga video with me, Carly. I'm delighted you've joined me today. I'm just going to let you know that the noises you can hear are, if you can hear the noises, it's raining outside, so you can probably hear pitter patter of the rain. It's a really gloomy day out there and very wet. So I'm really happy that I'm getting to do some yoga with you guys today because it will certainly brighten up this dull day. So today's theme is all about being on the belly and the back. So the poses we're doing today are going to be down on the mat, either on our bellies or on our backs. So before we start with the belly and back poses, we are going to do a warm-up. And you guys have got really good at this. We've done it a few times, the sun salutation. So we'll do that twice through, and then we'll come down to the mat to do our belly and back poses. So join me on the mat for the sun salutations. Okay, so we stand up nice and tall. Remember, this is a pose. This is Tadasana, which means mountain pose. And like a mountain, we are tall, we are strong, we are steady, we are sturdy. So just start by feeling your feet on the floor, taking some really deep, nice breaths into the belly. And then we can begin. So breathe in, stretch up, look at your hands, and then bend down low to tickle your toes. It take a while to warm up, so maybe just bending your knees at the moment, just getting down to the toes. And then you come up onto the tips of your fingers, looking forward ahead of you, and then stepping back to downward facing dog. Let's walk the dog out, so just bending into one foot at a time. Let's stretch out those legs. We always feel a bit stiff when we start. We've got to warm the body up, especially as today's a little bit cold for me. I've got to warm my body up really carefully. So pushing into hands and now tipping over your hands, coming into your plank pose. Holding it for a moment, then we put our knees down, feet come down, and then we push ourselves down to the mat. Good, now pushing into the hands, peeling yourself up. This is upward facing dog, looking up. And then bending your knees, pushing yourself back into downward facing dog. Good. So looking between your hands, that's where your foot's going to go, and a big step forward. You choose which foot, just as long as you do the other one next time. And giving yourself a nice stretch in this lovely lunge, and then the back foot comes forward to meet the front foot. Then just hang out here for a little bit longer, a couple of breaths. And next time you breathe in, rising all the way up, arms up. And then they come back to your sides, just for a moment of stillness before the next side. Taking some breaths. And now you can have a quick fidget. Move your t-shirt around if you need to. Fidget, fidget, do your hair if you need to. Right, so let's do the other side. Well done. Let's breathe in, stretch up, look up. Bend down low to tickle your toes. Up to the tips of your fingers, looking forward ahead of you. And then stepping back into your downward facing dog. And pushing into the hands, aiming to get our heels down on the floor. And making sure we have a nice straight back. So we want to be pushing into hands, straightening that back. And then come over your hands into that plank pose, holding it nice and strong. Knees down, feet down, coming down to the chest, to the floor. And pushing into hands for your upward facing dog. Legs are strong, pushing hard into the hands. And then back to your downward facing dog. And just hanging out here for a few breaths, stretching, stretching, stretching. And then remember which foot you used last time, and the other foot will go forward. So looking between your hands and a huge step forward. Lovely, nice straight back, nice lunge up on the tiptoes. And then stepping forwards. And maybe this time just catching hold of your elbows and just hanging and maybe swaying for a couple of breaths here. And on the next in-breath, up you go, reaching up. And then hands to your sides. Taking a few deep breaths here. Good. Lovely, well done. So I'm just going to tip the screen a bit. So you need to see the mat really well for this. So I'm going to tip the screen so you can see me on my mat. So coming down to the mats now, like I mentioned, we're going to be doing some poses on our backs and we're going to do some poses on our bellies. Okay, so the first pose we're going to do, you have actually done in the warm-up, it's an upward facing dog. So I think it's best if you watch me first and then you can join in. So I'll show you that what we're going to do. So you need to come down onto your belly and you're going to have your toes pointed, they're not together, they're slightly apart, hands by your sides, by your elbows, or just a little bit lower than your elbows. And as you breathe in, you push into your hands, straighten your arms and up you come. So what I'd like you to do from your upward facing dog, you're going to come back down and then push into child's pose. So we go from child's pose and then we're going to come back into another upward facing dog. So we're going to do that movement a couple of times. So upward facing dog, pushing back to child's pose. Lovely. So come and join me now. So bellies to the mat, hands by your side. Next in breath, push into your hands. Straighten your arms, your drishti, the place you're looking is just ahead of you, up on the ceiling. And then pushing back to a child's pose. So push, push, push back, bottom to your heels. Good, a couple of breaths here. And then coming forward again into your upward facing dog. So hands don't move, we just hinge forward, looking up. And then pushing back to child's pose. And we'll do it one last time. So from child's pose, coming forward, hands stay where they are, and you tilt up into upward facing dog. Good, and just push back into child's pose. One more time, just for a little rest. Taking some deep breaths. And now coming forward onto your belly again. So all the way down. So the next pose we're going to do is cobra. So again, if you just want to be looking at me first, we're going to have our toes together for this one. It's like you're a snake, really. You're going to be a cobra, which is a type of snake. So this is the tail of the snake. So your feet are really pointed and your feet are together. So they're strong and they're pointed. Your toes are pointed, legs are together. So you're going to have your hands now by your shoulders, okay? And when you're ready and you breathe in, you peel your chest off the floor, using your back muscles to squeeze you up. So there's not really any weight in my hands at all. And then I come back down. So let's do that together, getting yourself ready. So you're on your belly, you've got your snake tail, pointy toes. Okay, so the next in-breath, breathing in, peeling your spine off the floor, looking up at the ceiling ahead of you. And as you breathe out, come down. We're going to do that one more time. So strong legs, next in-breath, peel your chest up off the floor, looking at the ceiling ahead of you. Strong legs, breathing out, coming back down. So from here, push yourself back into the child's pose again, giving yourself a little rest. It's always important to rest between poses. Just have this moment of stillness. Lovely, so we're going to go onto our backs now. So the next pose is a little bit tricky and you need to listen very carefully to what to do. So also when we're in this pose, we don't move our necks around, okay? So it's very, very important in this pose. So these poses now are coming onto our back for the next few poses. So coming down onto your back. So watching again, my feet are really pointed and they're together. Now this is the tail of my fish because now we're going to be doing a fish pose. So we're going to be fish. So this is the fish's tail. Toes are pointed, really strong legs. And then head comes to the floor. And then I just want you to slip your hands onto your bottom with the palms facing down. So it's like you're just resting on your hands, the palms are on the floor. And I really like you to tuck your elbows in. So be watching me. And from here on, we do not move our neck. So we're not looking side to side at all. And then we're going to push into our elbows really strongly. And that will start to lift our heads up. And then we look behind us so that we're resting on the top of our heads. Feet are really strong and pointed. And then when we want to come out, we push into our elbows and we come down really carefully. So join me now. And the most important thing is please do not move your neck. It's really, really important. So point those toes as hard as you can. Hands are under your bottom and the elbows as close to the body as you can get them. And ready on the next in-breath, push into your elbows and lift your head off the floor. You're now resting the top of your head on the floor. It's hard to talk in this position. We're really making sure we do not move our necks. We're looking behind us, pushing into the elbows and coming out gently. Taking a few deep breaths here. We're going to do it one last time. So point those toes, push into the elbows, up we go, onto the top of our heads, looking behind us. We're in fish pose, pushing into the elbows, pointing the toes, and out you come gently, really gently. Good. Now slide out your hands and give your knees a hug. So bring your knees into your chest and just rock side to side to side to side. Really relaxing the back muscles now. And now from here, I'd like you to try and get your nose to your knees. Pull, 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 nose to knees if you can. Really aiming to, and back down. And one more time as you breathe in. Really pull your legs in, try to get your nose to your knees. And then down we come. Lovely. So that was quite a challenging pose. We're now going to do a bridge pose. So that's really good for our backs as well. So for this pose, you need to try and get your feet. So if you want to watch, you're going to have your feet as close to your bottom as you can. Hands by your side with your palms on the floor. As you breathe in, you're going to push into your feet and start to peel your spine. So I shouldn't say a quick movement. This is quite slow. We're pushing into the ground, peeling all of our spine off the floor until we get to the top. Then we shuffle our shoulders underneath us and we clasp our hands and we push into our feet as high as we can go. And then gently we come down, rolling every vertebra of our spine down the mat slowly. So I really want that ripple effect in your spine. It's really important. So we're not just shoving up into the air, we're peeling our spine up and then rolling it down. So let's go. Pushing into your feet, ready. So hands by your side, push into the feet, peel your spine off the floor, coming as far up onto your shoulders as you can, and then clasping your hands underneath you. So you're pushing into your feet, you're pushing into your arms to give you some lift and height. Push, 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 and then arms come out. And roll your spine down so you feel it rolling down onto the floor or the mat. Fantastic, well done. And again, when you're in this position, we're keeping our necks nice and straight, not trying to look around us. So really focusing on what our bodies are doing and nobody else. Let's go one more time. So push, push, push into those feet, peel the spine up. Good, hands underneath you, clasping them together. Right up onto the shoulders as high as you can possibly go. And then untuck your shoulders and roll your spine down slowly and carefully. Good, and again, give your knees a nice hug and a little rock from side to side, easing out all our back muscles. Lovely, so we're going to do a bit of a twist now. So I'm going to shift over so I've got enough room. So what I'd like you to do in this position that you're in is you're going to lift up your hips off the floor, just push them over to one side and drop them down. And then you're going to flop your knees the opposite direction. Okay, so arms can come out like a cactus, or if you can put them straight, I haven't got the room, do so, put them straight if you can't have cactus arms. And just look the opposite way of your knees and just relax here. Just let gravity pull you down to the ground and support you. The floor is supporting you. So you can just let everything be heavy in this nice twist. Twists are really, really good for us. So there's no rush. Let's just wait and let all the goodness happen to our bodies. And then slowly and gently, bringing your knees up to center, bringing your hips back to center, arms by your side. And again, let's do the other side. So push into your feet, lift up your hips, shift them over to one side and let the knees drop the opposite direction to your hips. So it should feel quite natural, this. So make sure it feels comfortable. And then having your arms like a cactus shape or straight out and looking the opposite direction to your knees. So that other way this time. And again, just letting yourself relax in this position. Really, really relax. So just let everything be heavy and super relaxed. And then slowly and gently lifting your knees up to the center, hips back to the middle. And one last time, another quick rock and a hug of the knees, side to side. Good. So our final pose before we do our breathing exercises and our relaxation is happy baby. So from here with your knees bent, just put your feet up into the air, and I'd like them to be flexed for this, okay? So we're not pointing our toes, they're flexed. And I'd like you to grab the inside of your feet, and then you can just rock gently from side to side. Feels quite nice, happy baby. So letting the knees drop towards your armpits, and just letting everything be heavy and relaxed. Try not to tip your tailbone up, aiming to get the bottom of your spine onto the floor. And just rock, 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 rock. You often see babies like this when they're in their cots. They like this position. That's why it's called happy baby. It's really good for our tummies, for our digestion. And from here, just bending the knees. And we could just bend one knee at a time. So straighten one leg and bend the other knee up. And you can just lift up your nose to that knee and then back down again. And swapping. So pulling in one knee and lifting your nose to that knee. And coming back down. And just relaxing for a moment. You can have your knees here together and your feet wide apart. This is a really nice resting pose. So knees flop together, feet are at the edge of the mat or really wide apart. And just relax for one moment, letting all the good work you've done sink into the body. And from here, when you're ready, you can rock yourself back up to a seated position. Well done. So those were some nice poses. We did a couple of poses on our belly, and then we did some poses on our back. So well done. You've done a fish pose, you've been a snake and a cobra, you've done bridge pose, you've done happy baby, you've done all sorts of brilliant poses there. All of them really good for our bodies. So it's time to wind down a bit now before we do our shavasana. So we're going to do a really nice breathing practice. I really like this one. Excuse me. It's called petal practice. So we're going to use our hands like petals. So if you imagine your hands like the petals of a flower, closing up into like a bud and then opening beautifully into a big flower. So what you're going to do as you breathe in, you're going to close up the fingers like the petals of a flower, just touching them for a moment. As you breathe out, you're going to open up the petals of the flower. So you can breathe in through your nose if you like. I quite like breathing sometimes in through my nose. Big belly breath, and then I quite like sometimes to sigh it out through my mouth. So if you just want to breathe through your nose, or you can only just breathe through your mouth, if your nose is blocked, anything is fine, as long as it's a nice deep breath. So let's set ourselves up, sitting really nice and tall. Just start by a couple of deep belly breaths. Lovely. And now get your hands ready. So it's nice to do this with your eyes closed and really time it with your breath, so that when you're at the end of your in-breath, the tips of your fingers are all together. And when you're at the end of your out-breath, your fingers are really stretched apart. Okay, so let's do this together with our eyes closed. So having your hands stretched out to begin with, open. One breath in and one breath out. Next breath in, breathe in, closing the fingers together so that they touch at the end of the in-breath, holding them for a moment. And as you breathe out, time it so that the fingers open all the way, nice and wide at the end of your out-breath. And again, big breath in, fingers coming together, touching. And as you breathe out, fingers open like the petals on a flower. Hold it for a moment, we'll do one more. So breathing in, closing the flower, fingers touching, breathing out, fingers opening on the flower. Lovely. So I know I feel calmer already because as I've said before, deep breaths really do calm us. It sends a message to our brain that we can be calm, and it helps the body to relax. So not to forget our shavasana, we must do our shavasana. It's the most important pose. So I invite you now to come down to your backs. So find a nice space, coming down to the back, Letting the feet flop open and the hands are by you with the backs of your hands on the floor. So this time your palms are facing upwards to the ceiling. And you are just able now to relax. Really enjoy the fact that you've got this nice moment to be still and to do nothing and to rest. Often we're very busy during the day in our minds and our bodies, so this is a really lovely opportunity to just rest. So I invite you now to take a couple of lovely deep belly breaths, bigger than normal, really following the breath as it comes into the body and noticing as it goes out. And now just let your breathing be normal. Just let go of any thinking about your breathing. Just allow it to be calming and normal. Our body breathes for us. We don't even need to think about it. So now we're going to work our way around our bodies, relaxing all the muscles. So I'd like you now to take your attention down to your feet, noticing maybe any sensations in the feet. Maybe they're tingly, maybe they're cold or warm. Really noticing your feet. And the next time you breathe in, I'd like you to give your feet a squeeze. So breathing in and squeezing the muscles of the feet. And breathing out, releasing every muscle in the foot, each foot. And our attention travels up to the legs. So noticing the calf muscles, the shin, the knee, the thigh, all of your leg. And on the next in-breath, give your legs a squeeze and squeeze them really hard. Hold them for a moment. And as you breathe out, release the muscles of your legs. And now your attention moves away from the legs, travels up the spine and onto the shoulders. And as you breathe in, squeeze your shoulders and see if you can squeeze any back muscles. Give them a good squeeze. Shrug the shoulders to the ears and then release as you breathe out. Gosh, that feels so nice. Let's do it again because our shoulders can be quite tight. So breathing in, squeeze the shoulders and any back muscles you can. Shrug, 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 and breathe out, release. And so now our attention travels down our arms and comes to our hands. Our hands do a lot for us all the time, so really notice them and appreciate your hands, feeling grateful, noticing what they feel like, any tingling in the hands, any sensations. And on your next in-breath, squeeze your hands really, really hard, make them into a fist and squeeze. And as you breathe out, release the hands. And try now to include your arm muscles in the next time we do this. So breathing in and squeezing your hands and squeezing any arm muscles you can feel. Just squeeze and release. Good, and now our attention, you can imagine it traveling up the arms, across the shoulders, up the neck and to your heads. So now just focusing on the mind, noticing if it's busy and buzzy or if it's calm. Doesn't matter which it is or what's going on, just noticing. And then perhaps if there are any thoughts there, just sending them on their way. Imagine them floating away in a cloud and just trying to find a little bit of stillness in the mind with no thoughts racing around, just noticing how you feel. And on the next in-breath, squeeze the face, notice how that feels. And breathe out and release the face. And now just noticing your whole body lying here on the mats. And in your next in-breath, squeeze the whole of your body from the tips of your toes all the way to your face and squeeze and release as you breathe out. And just noticing how your body feels right now. Does it feel different to when you started? How does your mind feel? You've done a lot of good work for your body today, a lot of good work for your mind. So hopefully you can feel that. You can feel your body maybe feeling a little bit less tense, hopefully a bit more loose and relaxed, and Hopefully your mind feels the same too. So giving your toes and your fingers a little wiggle, and then rolling over onto your side with your knees bent, and give yourself a hug. And as you hug yourself, think something lovely about yourself. And I'm sure each and every one of you can think of something lovely about yourself. Maybe something a friend has said to you before, or someone in your family, or just something you know about you that's is a nice special thing. So really focus on that, and you can say, I am funny, I am kind, I am brave. Just say those words in your head a couple of times as you give yourself a hug. And then pushing yourself up to a seated position. Legs can be crossed. Lovely. And now we just bring our hands to, this is called Anjali Mudra, prayer position with our hands. And we take a huge breath in and we bend forward, we say namaste. So we're thanking ourselves for the practice. I'm thanking you for joining me. You're thanking me for leading you through your yoga. So thank you so much. And I really hope you enjoyed today. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a fantastic day. Namaste.